Hello, today's presentation is a clip of some raw footage of an interview with Marian Henderson talking about the Bob Hope Cultural Center. Marian Henderson was a Hollywood actress, Marian Marsh, who married our Palm Desert's founder, Cliff Henderson, and started Desert Beautiful in the 1960s. The Bob Hope Cultural Center, also known as the McCallum Theater, was opened on January 2nd, 1988. And this interview was done prior to that opening. If you like our presentation, please like and subscribe. If you'd like to join the Historical Society of Palm Desert, please go to hspd.org and hit the join button. Thank you.
Founded Palm Desert. We could start with that. He wanted a cultural center, and he had designated land for it. But it's a little difficult to explain why it didn't happen. It had gotten just so far, and then the person involved in it saw a way to benefit in a different way, and so he disposed of the land. I mean, that's really truly what happened. So I might just skip that part, though, and just simply say that he originally had planned on a cultural center, but under circumstances it just didn't come about, you see. And so that's why he was so interested in the development of a cultural center, particularly after the College of the Desert was here. And
made sense.
Yes.
The way we're going to do this is I'm going to be asking you questions.
I see.
Or asking you to relate your experiences to something.
Mm-hmm.
And if I ask you a question, if you can incorporate the question in your answer, because in the finished tape, my voice and I won't appear on
You
the
won't
camera.
be there, I see.
Right, so if I say, how did the Bob Hope Cultural Center got started?
Mm-hmm.
If you can say the Bob Hope Cultural Center got started and da-da-da-da, instead of saying
Mm-hmm.
it got started, so
Mm-hmm.
the audience will have a reference. So if you can incorporate the
Yes,
question
I see. Mm-hmm.
in your answer, that would be
Yes.
very helpful.
Well, I don't know if I'm the best one to say how it got started. There were so many factors in it. Well, I'll say that. I'll say what I know, and whatever it is. You always cut it out. The film on the cutting room floor is always the best.
Okay, well let's start out talking about, well, you've been an actress. What do you think the importance of arts and the culture is to a community, and this community in particular?
Of course, being in the Palm Desert community, I think that it makes me feel so gratified to have the projection of a cultural center here, because, of course, having been in the films and all that background, that's something we all look forward to.
Do you think this community in particular, because it has a lot of celebrities here, wouldn't it make sense to have a cultural center here? I mean, right now people have to travel to Los Angeles, San Diego.
I think so. I don't think it's just because of famous people or the people who are here, but just everyday people, you and I and everybody else, become so interested in the arts, and the travel, as you suggest, as we've talked about, is difficult to Los Angeles when you have a job. But if we have a cultural center here, why then we can get all the same things out of it as we can by going to the big city. This is becoming a big city, as you can see. So I think it makes a big difference, the manner in which it's developed.
How have you seen this community change and develop in terms of the different sorts of people that come here, the different age groups?
Well, I think we have a little bit of everything here. There's no set mark as to age one way or the other. All you have to do is go to the schools and see how jam-packed they are with youngsters and how many new schools we have. We're expecting a new high school in Palm Desert also, and I'm sure that some of the other communities will be asking for additional schools. We have 3 schools here already as it is. So the youngsters are coming along, and I think that's where the importance of a cultural center is too, for them to know that it's here. And early in their lives, if you are exposed to that kind of thing, it stays with you your whole life, and it's a great asset. It's a great asset in living and growing, and to the community.
You answered my next question. That was wonderful. I was just going to ask you, what role it plays in young people's lives, and you just said that beautifully. That was wonderful.
Well, thank you. Are you on and off with this? Is that what you do?
The tape is running.
Oh, I see.
Excuse me.
Surely.
You don't want a shadow on your nose, do
Last
you?
discussion, we got just a little bit of
Yeah,
street voice.
I'm aware of the background noise, and we'll live with it. We are
Okay.
we're already looking.
That's much better.
Yes, the cars go by here every once in a while, and
We can't stop traffic.
they sound as though they're right inside the door, and there's not a lot you can do about it.
No. How do you feel about the location of the proposed center? You think that's a good location?
It couldn't be more perfect than to be there adjacent to the grounds of the College of the Desert. I think all you have to do is look back on the way it was until the College of the Desert was there. Now that development has become so beautiful and so well cared for. My hat's off to them at the College of the Desert for the beautification. I think you probably know that I'm in beautification. We have the Desert Beautiful organization, and I'm always looking for things to be better throughout the Coachella Valley. We work at it all the time. And now to have a cultural center joining the College of the Desert is just about as perfect as one can get. Thank heavens there's all that room there yet. And it's being done now, because down the way a little bit, a few years, and I'm afraid that land's all going to be eaten up or used up. And if we don't have this projection and complete it now, it might be too late in the future.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I was told that if you took an aerial photograph of the valley and zoomed into the very center of it, that you'd have the campus of the desert right there. So it actually is very
Yes.
centrally located.
Yes, that's the good part of it too. And to think of the use that the college has. I know we have on occasion had the pleasure of being there on so many special events. We've been able to use some of their facilities for presentations and for meetings of all different kinds. And it services everyone, from the very young. They have the baseball fields, the softball and so forth, tennis courts. I know when my grandchildren have been down and we can't find any other place to go and play tennis, we've called and run over to the College of the Desert, and there it is. So I think that now with the cultural center being there, it's going to be the same feeling that we can from time to time go to these special occasions that will take place at the cultural center. I look forward to it, so I can hardly wait.
Do you see that right now facilities for performing arts like music and theater in the valley are lacking? Is there a real need for a facility like this?
Oh, absolutely, a real need for it. They've had to use the Palm Springs High School for all these years. We've used the gymnasium at the College of the Desert for the Fred Waring concerts, which really has been the beginning of the structure for the Cultural Center. I think that his efforts in showing up year in and year out, I think it's some 20 years now, we haven't missed a concert. My husband, Cliff Henderson, of course, has known Fred Waring, it seemed forever. They're very great friends always. And we haven't missed a concert, and always look forward to going, and always had a number of people we encouraged to come. And when they once saw his concert, why, they enjoyed it so much. And everyone would then start talking about, well, when are we going to have a proper place for Fred to perform? That's been the big thing. And this would be just great, and I'm sure he'll still be performing by the time it's built.
Mike McCarthy was saying this morning how even considering the facilities that were available, how hard the seats were, that so many people would come and it'd be standing room only. He says, I mean,
Yes.
I think if we had a comfortable facility with plenty of seats,
Absolutely.
you have that kind of a turnout when the facility isn't that great.
That's true. Well, they come from all over. It's not just right here in the Coachella Valley. They do come from out of the valley and look forward to it. And I'm always pleased to see they're all age groups, too. I know I have talked many times at different affairs, and I've suggested that they encourage the younger children to come, because you can't often hear music like that. It just doesn't happen.
Do you think that the name is appropriate, the Bob Hope Cultural Center?
Perfect. What could be better? I think we're so lucky that he accepted to have it called the Bob Hope Cultural Center, because it's just about the greatest name in show business that ever was. I think that just his name alone will really give us the impetus to have the completion of it in a shorter time, too. And he's not just giving his name. I'm sure he usually takes part in everything where his name is connected. You know, that's Bob Hope.
Where is the support coming from for the Bob Hope Culture Center? You think it's coming from not only the major corporations and major figures, you think it's also coming from the...
I think from everybody, from all of us, yes. I think that's the way it should be, too. I know that there have been a number of groups that I belong to and have been with who have said, well, we've got to do something about the cultural center. We all know that you have to have the big money. I mean, that's most important, naturally. It couldn't be without it. But then all the little parts that come in from all over is just as important. And those are the people who will be attending the cultural center. Well, just as it was, I saw the cultural center develop in Los Angeles, and that was the way it started. And it grew and grew to what it is now, a beautiful, beautiful facility. I can see that happening here.
That's great. The last thing I'd like you to talk about is just your personal view of, you know, what this will mean to you to have the Bob Hope Cultural Center here, you know, and how, if that's exciting to you.
Very exciting to me, because I think I have missed that part quite a bit. I'd like to say, too, at this point, that my husband, Cliff Henderson, was so strong about having a cultural center. He wrote many letters. He's been involved in it always from the beginning. And I think, to me, it's going to mean sort of more of his dream of Palm Desert, that it's a complete fulfillment then of the things he wanted to have in the city of Palm Desert. And that will make me very happy, plus the enjoyment of going to practically everything. I know I'll be a season ticket holder from the word go, from the first opening.
That's great. Really, I didn't have to ask all the questions I wanted to ask. You supplied a lot of the answers. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Do this.
It was my pleasure.
You're a pro. And it's a pleasure to work with you. I wonder if it'd be okay if we shot some of these minutes.
Yes, I think so. I might say that these pictures from the original collection of Cliff, and very proud of them, to see the development. You wouldn't believe, I don't think you can get the very top one where El Paseo had nothing on it, not even the trees. But the development throughout the area, you know, the one thing he did say was so nice at the opening of Ernie Hahn's Palm Desert Town Center was that he was glad he'd lived long enough to see it happen. And I'm certainly pleased about that. And we have some beautiful pictures of him being there, thanks to Mr. Hahn.
That's great. Yeah, we talked to Mr. Hahn yesterday. We interviewed him on camera in our facility.
Yes, well, he gets things done.
Yeah, he does in a very quiet, professional way.
That's true. Mm-hmm. Well, you go ahead and pan all you want.